start.
This is Trey's Chowdown Live, hosted by Trey Chapman, restaurateur, rancher, publisher, food blogger, TV show and podcast host. The show is raw, real, unscripted conversations about the culinary world. I'm producer Ron, and this is the best of Trey's Chowdown Live seasons 3 and 4. As we prepare for all that the new year brings us, we look back at some of the highlights from the past 2 seasons.
We are out here at our South Victory Plaza with the man that we turn to whenever we want to know what food is the best in the state of Texas. That is Trey Chapman of TreysChowdown.com.
Best breakfast spots in North Texas with Trey's Chowdown.
So food expert Trey Chapman.
Texans know beef, and if you're looking for the best steak in town, we called in the food expert Trey Chapman.
Trey had the privilege of interviewing some of the best and brightest in the food and beverage industry this season. Let's get started with a harrowing personal story from Chef Justin Wern, formerly at the Statler, now at Bow Lounge, Dallas.
Okay, so you told me a story before this which shocked me. When you worked at the Statler, you said you just got hired there, but you got shot.
I did,
but not once, but you got shot
2 times. I got one in the chest and I have one in the arm, right through all my tattoos.
It's a pretty big hole right there.
It is. It was a 45 caliber.
45 caliber.
Yeah.
So tell me what happened. Tell me the story.
It was actually one of my old employees, and he was a pretty good kid. He worked for me as a food runner when he was, I guess, 18 or 19,
right?
And he started getting in with the bad crowd.
Oh yeah.
And he knew where I lived, and I mean, I trusted him so much that he has babysat my child.
Oh,
wow. And he used to, I tried to keep him out of trouble. He would say, "Hey man, I need some money. Can you help me with anything? Can I do anything?" He would wash my dishes or clean up my house or do my yard. And then I could tell he started doing bad stuff and saw the people he was hanging out with. So I kind of cut him off. And one day he stole my wallet. So I called the police, got my wallet back. I still have the same wallet. I've had the wallet since I graduated, 20 years. So I wasn't going to lose that wallet.
No.
And that was pretty much the end of our friendship. He found out and he tried to stab me when I was in my car, and he got my car door. And then probably 3 months later, he came to the house, and I opened the door and just got shot.
Golly.
But he didn't get in. I kicked him right in the shin, slammed the door, and then he shot me again. Shot me first in the chest, and then he shot me through the door in the arm and just broke my shoulder, broke my arm in 13 places.
Golly. Well, it obviously missed all your arteries up there.
I'm about a centimeter away from my heart.
Centimeter.
And I still have the bullet in my chest.
Do you really?
Yeah.
What a story.
It's a crazy story.
Not many people can say, listen, I can say I've done a lot of things, but I've never say I've been shot.
Man.
Not twice anyway.
In the initial, it was more shock than anything.
Yeah. Did you call 911?
My buddies called 911.
Were they in the house with you?
I had a bunch of people there. It was a Thursday night. I was watching football.
Oh, wow. You're
Chipotle.
lucky.
Yeah.
You're eating Chipotle.
Eating Chipotle. Yeah, and one of my buddies, he just, after about 2 minutes, he got off the phone. He just started hugging me to stop the bleeding and just hugged me until they got there. That same guy came and visited me the next day and hadn't changed his shirt. He had my blood.
Oh, wow.
He was a weird guy. He also used to work for me. Yeah, I was very fortunate.
Hey.
My son was actually at the house like probably 4 or 5 hours before that, and I dropped him off with his mother.
That's good.
Man,
that'd have been bad.
Had a couple close calls. Ugh.
Oh well, I just had to tell that story because that's just unusual. So I just kind of.
It's a crazy story.
Yeah.
Thank goodness he survived, and we're all luckier for it. Chef Justin Wern at Bow Lounge, Dallas. Coming up next, he was called the single most talented cook I ever worked with by Anthony Bourdain. Executive Chef John Teaser, also known by the name Jimmy Sears in Bourdain's best-selling memoir, Kitchen Confidential, was also a 2-time contestant on Bravo's Top Chef. Let's hear from Trey and Chef Teaser.
How long did it take you in your assumption? How long did it take you to figure out the dry age process to where you were happy with it and where it was consistent for you?
Oh, at least 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Where I can kind of control its outcome and its consistency. And the best lesson I've had has really been Florida because mold grows like crazy.
Yeah. Oh, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. You saw the box down there.
Yeah.
I mean, I put steak in there and I brought mold from Dallas, and the next 3 days the mold was everywhere. White mold too.
Yeah.
Not black mold. So
Yeah.
it's like a different.
Yeah.
People have to understand what we do.
Yeah.
We have to understand what we do is that we develop, because of the feed in 44 farms specifically. There's no corn. It doesn't ammoniate. It's more vegetal and it's more fermentation driven. so it becomes sweeter as it gets older rather than more acidic and ammoniated and more like blue cheese.
Yeah.
And what I've learned how to do is control that mold and kind of take the cheesiness out of that process,
Right.
which a lot of people didn't like in dry aged steak. They'd be like, it's too strong. Tastes like blue cheese.
Right.
You can see if I can get a steak around 60 to 90 days to 120 days, I get it all sweet and nutty.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not so much about the thing I learned is like, you know, the wow factor is like, yeah, I can eat steak 500 days and you're going to eat it. And it's delicious.
Right.
It's not for everybody.
Right.
240 is not for everybody. And if I can control that mold, I can serve you a 240-day dry-aged steak, and it'll taste like a 120-day dry-aged steak because I'm controlling mold. Because the mold, and then there's other factors to it, is that you can't dry the steak out initially. So your fan, because all these companies try to come to me, these new companies where you can dry age steak at home.
Right.
They go, will you be an ambassador? Will you endorse it? And I look at the product and I can't really get behind it because the way they're doing it is not the way I do it.
Are they trying to speed the process up?
Well, they're doing it in the old-fashioned way, in a very new scientific way that it's home safe. With black light, they're still using the black light to kill any bad bacteria. And they're using fans to circulate things. I do things at a temperature and a humidity, and the rest is really just a technique of watching it, kind of like what a cheesemaker does.
Yeah.
Because that steak has to bleed. And if you put that fan on and you make it so cold, it's going to harden up, right? And that'll grow black mold on it eventually if you just let it, if you just let it rot.
Yeah.
Right? But that's not what we do.
Right.
We just lay it down, very cold temperature. I let it bleed, and then I crank the humidity down and turn that black mold slowly into white mold. And what helps the 44 farms is that feed. It doesn't want to turn to black mold. We sent it out recently. I'd never sent the mold out before, but Justin Brunson wanted to mass produce this in Colorado. So I sent him some meat, I sent him some mold, and he sent it out to a lab because he's really of a charcuterie guy.
Yeah,
he has an FDA plant. He makes all of these salumi things. So he had to go do that to make it legal for himself. Right? What we do is legal because I do it under temperature. It's right there. You see it. Everybody loves it after 7 years. But he goes through this rigorous process, and we found out it's nothing more than vegetal penicillin. So that goes back to my theory.
What a great thing to find out, though.
Organic chemistry by duh. You know, like
That's
7
awesome.
years of duh. Here it is. I got all the answers for you now, folks.
That's funny. That's great, though.
But now I'm the expert on it.
Yeah, I tell everybody, don't think of it as a mold. Think of it as a glove because it's just protecting the meat to make it better. That's what I tell everybody.
It's doing more than protecting the meat.
Yeah.
It's there are enzymes like a lot of meat. They put papaya enzymes on the end of it if you go to processing plants as a natural tenderizer. It's kind of like a natural MSG. The same thing with this mold is it's that eating, first of all, let's explain what dry aging beef really does. It removes all the blood, the water, and the impurities. It shrinks the fat. Whatever encases in that, then the fat still has moisture and flavor in it. So it's drawing the flavor from that fat into the meat. Right? And then the meat is also shrinking because you're taking all of the moisture out of it. So the only thing you're really doing is intensifying the flavor and tightening up the texture.
I was just fixing
That's
to say,
all you're doing.
It makes the flavor very pronounced.
Yes.
And it just to me it's more delicious, but I guess it's not for everybody.
And that's where the mold and the flavoring and that technique come in because you want to create a sweet, savory flavor balanced by the salt and pepper on the steak rather than something ammoniated and cheesy that really is just overpowering on the first bite, especially when you look at a piece of steak, your mouth starts to water. You're used to that steak flavor. The last thing you want is a hard piece of cheese in your mouth. And we don't do that.
Yeah.
Recently named Best Steakhouse in Dallas, Texas by D Magazine, Knife Steakhouse is located off East Mockingbird Lane in Dallas, and you can find more information at knifedallas.com. Next up, Pitmaster Brendan Lamb, owner of Smiley's Craft Barbecue in Roanoke, Texas, appeared on the high-profile Food Network show called Barbecue Brawl, featuring chefs Bobby Flay, Michael Simon, and Eddie Jackson. He had to close Smiley's in November, but now consults for other barbecue joints in the area. Here's Trey and Pitmaster Brendan Lamb.
You were just on Barbecue Brawl. How'd you get casted for Barbecue Brawl?
They, as you like to say, slid into my DMs
Did they
on
really?
Instagram. Yeah, so they told me that there was a casting company that I had worked with before, and they, I guess, were casting, and they're the ones that do the stuff for Barbecue Brawl. Right. But after everything went through, they ended up telling me that I was going to be on season 2. So I get there and down. We shot in Bee Cave, which is down in Austin. at this little place called the Star Hill Ranch. It's if you've never seen it, it's really cool. It's like a little western town, but they set it up the barbecue area down there, and we did it. And I got to meet Bobby Flay, be on Bobby Flay's team. Michael like Simon too. I was really excited to work with Eddie Jackson. You know.
Was it chilly? Would you shoot it?
Yeah, it was. So during the day, it was about 70, 80 degrees. And then at nighttime, whenever, during the end of the shoot day, it started getting to where it was windy and about 60. So, you know.
It was March when he went down there to film.
Okay.
So you can't really, I can't wear this and then towards the end of the shoot put on a jacket. That messes up continuity. So we're sitting there just freezing, pretending like we're not.
No, the reason I asked you is because I could tell you were cold sometimes.
Really? It's funny.
Your nose get a little red.
I didn't hide it very well.
I said, either somebody's back there whipping his butt or it's cold.
Both.
Could be both.
Long days of shooting?
Yeah, very long days.
Yeah, it's long, isn't it?
About 10 hours-ish.
Yeah.
And then, half of that's cooking. Sometimes half of it's cooking. Sometimes they give us 30 minutes, to cook. And then we're still out there for 10 hours, and there's only two 30-minute segments. Yeah. So craft barbecue is you're pretty much taking your time to make everything
like
by
artist.
hand. Yes, everything is made by hand. So traditionally in the Texas barbecue, you get your Benny Keith or your Cisco potato salad in, and that's you kind of spruce it up to where you want it to be. But everything with us is made from scratch.
Everything.
Down to the we buy the brioche buns. I'll tell you that much. But other than that, down from the pickles, the onions, the rubs, everything is made from scratch. Sauces. And it's just really cool because we're able to show kind of our personality through our food. And we're able to change it up all the time, and being able to call it craft barbecue, people understand that, hey, this is kind of chef driven. And we're going to change it up a little bit.
Time consuming.
Brendan plans to host backyard events teaching barbecue techniques with a company called Barbecue XO, and he'll make a return in 2022 at the For the Love of Barbecue Festival in Roanoke. Best of luck, Brendan. If you've ever spent time in the Fort Worth stockyards, then you're already familiar with our next guest. Chef Tim Love is known as much for his vibrant personality as he is for his signature urban Western cuisine, creating inspired and innovative dishes that have earned critical and popular acclaim. Widely known as a de facto ambassador for Texas, here's Trey's visit with Chef Tim Love.
Tim, you've been in the restaurant business a long time. People that don't know, you've got your so you started here in Fort Worth, correct?
The first restaurant that I owned was here in Fort Worth in the stockyards. Yeah, Lonesome Dove. It's 20 years old this year.
Right, one of my favorites. I guess that's probably the first restaurant that I ever ate at that you had.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, it's been quite a run over there, and we hate to relate it back to the COVID, but the thing is, we celebrated 20 years in June. We're just waiting until this thing's over so you can really celebrate it proper.
That's right.
So we just kind of kept it on the low for now, but it's been a great run at 20 years there.
Okay, so can we go through your restaurants real quick?
Yes. Would you like me to list them off?
Yeah, please, if you don't mind.
So obviously Lonesome Dove Fort Worth is the original. We have 3 Lonesome Doves, so one in Fort Worth, one in Austin,
right,
and one in Knoxville, Tennessee. Then we have the Love Shack, which is my burger joint. We have one in Fort Worth, one in Knoxville, one in DFW Airport.
Right.
Then we have the White Elephant Saloon, of course, which has the chili parlor in there, which that's the hidden secret of everything, by the way.
Yeah, people still don't know about that either.
Yeah, that chili parlor, it brought that back from the old days. There used to be chili parlors all over the place in the stockyards,
right.
And so I wanted to bring that back. We have a really good Texas Red, so if you want to check that out. And then also in Fort Worth, we have the Woodshed Smokehouse, which just celebrated 8 years.
I love that concept, by the way.
It's just been thriving, even with the COVID. And then Gemelli, which is one of the newer restaurants that I've opened in town, my Italian place, and it's over off White Settlement, and it's got these beautiful gardens. We have 10,000 square feet of vegetable gardens.
Yeah.
We grow our own vegetables and all of our own greens. We have live music there. We have an awesome gospel Sunday brunch, bocce courts. I mean, it's probably the most photographed spot in Fort Worth right now is in front of the love sign, by the way. I mean, I don't know what it is, but every girl that comes there has to take their picture in front of the love sign. So it's pretty fun.
With restaurants spanning the nation from Seattle to Knoxville, Chef Love is chef and owner of beloved Texas restaurants Lonesome Dove Western Bistro, Woodshed Smokehouse, Queenie's Steakhouse, Jamel, Attico, and Love Shack, as well as the storied White Elephant Saloon. Learn more about Chef Love online at cheftimlove.com. More great culinary talent next up Pitmaster Tab Singleton moved to New Orleans, Louisiana to work under the master himself, Chef Emeril Lagasse. He was a contestant on the Food Network's Chopped and Destination America Deep Fry Masters and took home the grand prize of winning both competitions. Here's Trey and Pitmaster Tab.
Well, I know you do tacos, you do burgers,
Mm-hmm.
you do sausage, you do turkey, you do brisket, you do full barbecue lineup. But
yeah, we do full barbecue lineup, but specials we try to, for our area, we try to do something off the wall that they're not used to. So we did burrito ramen, which sold out the box. We've done barbecue ramen. We've done pho. We try to bring a lot of culture to barbecue-wise in our area that a lot of people aren't used to seeing.
Right. So let me. I want to talk about Chopped because you were on Chopped.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like? First of all, how did that come about?
Well, actually, funny story. There were some producers in the area, and they
New
were
Orleans?
in New Orleans.
Okay.
Well, they were. We had a food bar where you're right there in the kitchen. Well, there's this one guy that he's at the roast, which is right in front of me.
Right.
So I'm sitting there calling out orders, and he's been getting his face caved in the whole night. And, well, in front of everybody, he just turned around and smarts off to me. And he said, if you think you can do better. So I turned around, I moved the printer into the kitchen. I went around and said, get off the station. I was calling out orders and working the station at the same time to get caught back up.
Yeah.
And then I moved the printer back out, and he was just standing over there at the prep station just staring at me. And I didn't know this, but at the food bar, there were representatives for Chopped. And they're like, man, you need to apply. We're going to be in the area next month. And I was like, well, Food Network at the time, Emeril was still on Food Network. I said, there's no way that'll happen. So I sat down, we did a one-on-one with him interview.
So you did that. So you obviously won.
Yes.
Were you pressured?
I was nervous. I mean, I wasn't really pressured. I mean, I try to stay calm, and the only thing that was time. I was getting tired.
Okay, so what's your social media? Is it everything Fat Tabs?
Fat Tabs Barbecue.
Mm-hmm. Fat Tabs, and that's Fat PHAT.
Pretty hot and tasty. Pretty hot and tasty.
Pretty hot and tasty, or pretty hot and tempting. Either way,
Yeah, either way.
Either one, they're going to work good. That's the fat that I use when I say things now because I don't want to offend anybody.
Yep.
Because I like that word fat, and that came out of Fridays. Remember, you know what we talking about? Yeah, I love that movie.
Fat Tabs Barbecue can be found on the web at fattabsbbq.com. Desserts are always at the top of our list. These three sisters were looking for a way to change their family legacy, and they decided to reopen a family business that had been closed for over 10 years. Trey visits with Darla McEwen and Nita Briggs, two of the three sisters from Cookie Haven in Dallas, Texas.
Okay, so tell us your name.
I'm Darla McEwen.
That's Darla and
Nita Briggs.
Nita Briggs.
Yes.
And the third one?
Kim Haynes.
That's the one I met.
Yes.
Over there at Cookie Haven.
Yes.
Because y'all were busy.
Yes.
The recipes, all the recipes, was it your grandmother's or mom's or something that I read?
So some of the recipes, 85% of the cookie recipes were our mom's recipes.
Okay.
And that's where we started with the cookie recipes.
Y'all are all characters. I'll have to talk to you 5 minutes to realize you're all characters.
No, she thinks she's a stand-up comedian. I exaggerate not.
I am funny. I'm funny. She didn't think so.
I'm sure you are. So it was your mom's recipes. Now, did you?
What was her cookie recipes?
Cookie recipes. So, let me ask you this: did those recipes come from her mom, or did she create the recipes herself?
She created them. Yeah.
Okay, so she didn't eat, but she created recipes.
Yes. She wanted to make money, extra money, so she did it for money, right? So she would sell them.
Okay, see, that's awesome. Now, see, I would never,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
I would have thought she was doing it for the family, or whatever.
Oh no.
So, no.
Well, because we were single mom, and so she had divorced mom, and raised 4 girls, and so she, our mom always worked. She was always working, and so just trying to raise her girls, and so she did the baking for extra money.
Okay,
Yes.
that's awesome.
Yeah, we were doing about 100 dozen cookies every Sunday.
Wait. So you started baking them out of your house
Yes.
on Sundays. You're making 100. You said 100 dozen.
100 dozen. We got to 100 dozen, and then at first it was probably about 30, 40 dozen. Then it got to 100, and so it was so many cookies that when she would take them to her job, it was crazy.
Wait, if you multiply that times 12, you realize how many cookies? That's 1,200 cookies.
No, we were making a lot of cookies
in one oven. Yeah,
and they were big cookies. They were huge cookies.
Yeah.
What?
Nice
How did you?
It was hard.
I would, but you know what? You were obviously passionate about it because you made it work.
Yes.
True.
So you made it work.
True.
Yes.
No matter what you did the reason for, you was passionate about what you were doing it for, and you made it work.
True.
Right, exactly. And so after we got to about 100, we decided to open up our first store. And so we opened up the store, and I quit my job. We just quit cold turkey. And we opened up the store in DeSoto.
That was our first
That was
store.
right. Now that's the first one I know about. So
In 2002.
Using the cookie recipes created by their mom, better known as Ms. Cookie, along with dedication, determination, and extraordinary customer service, they bring back the ultimate cookie dessert experience. See all the sweet deliciousness on their website at cookiehaven.com. That's cookie with a K. Coming up next, having previously written for the Dallas Observer, Texas Highways, and D Magazine, Trey gets an opportunity to visit with Jose Relat, the Texas Monthly taco editor and expert on the folklore of the taco.
we're here again with Texas Monthly's new taco editor. Isn't that fantastic?
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's incredible. Yeah. I've never been the popular kid. Suddenly I'm very popular.
I bet so.
So it's, in some ways, the response has been overwhelming in that I was just caught off guard at how big the news got.
So fast?
Yeah, so fast.
Yeah.
I talked to the BBC World Service Radio.
Right.
I talked to NPR Weekend Edition, Univision's English Language Network, and just
crazy.
All kinds of crazy things. And I never thought I'd do that. I just like to read and write about tacos. And so I get to do that now for a living.
That's right.
You can find out more about Jose Relat and the history of the taco by visiting his website at thetacotrail.com. The years 2020 and 2021 were tough for all of our local restaurants and bars. Trey was honored to visit with Dr. Emily Knight, CEO of the Texas Restaurant Association. Dr. Knight gives us some insight into how the pandemic has affected our most beloved institutions.
You are from, where were you? You told me Boston.
Yeah, so raised in Connecticut.
Raised in Connecticut.
Dad was on a submarine base in Connecticut, and then sort of a transplant to Texas now, about 10 years. I mean, and you know what's painful for me is think about restaurants. Who's the first person that shows up in a disaster?
Yeah.
Who's the first person you call when your son needs to have a baseball sponsorship or a fundraiser?
Right.
The restaurants have always come first. Even in this crisis, we had restaurants are the number one folks that stepped up to help first responders and healthcare workers when they weren't making a dime.
Right.
They turned, remember too, business interruption insurance, Trey, doesn't exist here.
Right.
So they lost all their inventory. You know what they did? They gave it out to their employees.
Right, yeah.
They gave it out to people in need, right?
Food
And
banks
here
to
we
give food
are
away.
pummeling them on the media. And it's like, you know what's going to change is the consumers have got to get out and support these restaurants.
Right.
It's on them to take care of their local restaurants.
They have to.
Yeah.
So have y'all figured out yet how many restaurants we're going to lose? Have they figured out a good number?
And it's a great week to have this conversation. So we projected, we've got about 15% that have closed, right? Turn the keys in, done.
Forever gone.
Forever gone. They're out, right? And it was about 10% within the first 2 months. We've seen another 5%. We project it's 30%, but I will tell you the deciding factor. This
overall,
week,
30%.
Overall.
Everything, okay.
And it tracks to the national average. Your independents, though, are going to be independent, meaning Thai shop, little noodle shop, small, not a lot of capital.
They're a bigger percentage. People want to get a hold of the TRA and see what you're about. Give us the.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to txrestaurant.org.
Okay.
I always say this. I know this will surprise you, but I'm eknight@txrestaurant.org. You're welcome to email me directly, but we just want to help. I mean, I think one of the things we did, Trey, when the crisis hit is we opened up everything to everyone, not just members.
Right.
And it was a risk, right? Because we're an association, we're a nonprofit,
Right.
but we said this is not a time to make people pay for things, right? We're going to open it to the world, and I think it's the best thing we ever did. So if people out there need help or they need more information, they can come to the website or they come to me directly, and I can get them to the right place.
And I want to say, not because you're on my show, my family was in the restaurant business for 100 years in Texas. We were always a part of the organization. And it's a great organization. Even back then, it was smaller. It was a great organization. And if I owned a restaurant today, or a restaurant bar, I would want to be part of that organization. I think it's a fantastic organization.
And let me, and for everyone listening, right? This next legislative session is critical. We have alcohol to go. We have retail. We're doing some work with mixed beverage. If we don't solidify that, the minute these executive orders end, all that goes away.
The Texas Restaurant Association is the leading business association for Texas's $52.4 billion food service industry, which spans over 43,000 locations throughout the state. Learn more about how the Texas Restaurant Association can help you by visiting texasrestaurant.org.
Hi, I'm Trey Chapman, publisher of Treys Chowdown and host of Treys Chowdown Live. a weekly TV show and radio podcast highlighting chefs, restaurants, and deliciousness. The restaurant and service industry is in big trouble due to COVID-19, and they could really use your help. While restaurants and service operations may look normal, they are far from normal. So many restaurants, food trucks, burger spots, barbecue joints, bars, and taverns are literally going broke by the hour and might get worse. So I'm asking everyone to help out the simplest way they can, and that is to please buy and shop local. Whether you're dining in, taking out, or get delivery, you are helping out your local businesses tremendously. Mom and pop owners, chefs, restaurants, and all of our service folks will be so very thankful that you're helping in this difficult time. Oh, and be generous on the gratuity when possible. Thank you so much, and thanks for supporting local.
Up next, Trey visits with CEO Dallas Hale, owner of Crafted Bar Concepts, which includes Ebb and Flow and Shell Shack. Your seafood and drink favorites, just the way you like them.
I really wanted to talk about Ebb and Flow because you know how ever since I met you over there, well, it's been a long time, since it opened, but we had a great time. I love that concept, and the one in Plano just got Best Patio.
Best Patio in Plano, got a Best Brunch in Plano, and Best New Restaurant in DFW.
Isn't that fantastic?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good flavors.
A lot of good flavors.
So it started in Deep Ellum, correct?
Correct.
Flow in Deep Ellum. How did that concept come about?
So that was my brother and my sister-in-law, and it was a little concept idea that they had that they brought me in on. And, right out of the gates, it opened right about COVID, and we stayed the course and fought the fight, and we did well. It was just such a cool vibe and cool concept. It was time that, we tried to expand it, came up with found a spot in Shops of Legacy, tweaked it, a little bit different from Deep Elm to Shops of Legacy, but stayed the main course. Laura decorated everything, and, kudos to her because she's really the one who gets the award,
So Dallas, what would you're CEO, but you've got so many concepts now. How do you classify yourself?
Well, I'm president CEO of Crafted Bar Concepts, which all the concepts fall under that. And we've got, now we've got Sushi Marquee, we got Ebb and Flow, Shell Shack. So, everything's doing really well. Got some new concepts coming up.
Yeah, you are. This is, you told me that was out there.
That's the Back Nine Dallas roll.
This is, it's plenty, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. You got shrimp tempura in there, cream cheese, crab, little sliver of jalapeno, salmon on top. Guacamole with a little spicy mayo and eel sauce.
Look at the beautiful thing right there.
This here, we got some sashimi over here.
Oh, sashimi. Look at that. I love the way you do this at the Rose. I saw that out there earlier when they were doing that. That's
salmon, some looks like tuna. Got some albacore over there.
Look at this. This looks fantastic.
So this starts going on your healthier options. We can also take sushi and wrap it in cucumber. So that is a completely riceless roll.
Oh, it's riceless. Okay, so that's got protein, and there's actually no carbs in that, is there?
Correct.
Yeah, I see. There's no carbs. It looks delicious.
This one right here. This is called the Happy Wife, Happy Life.
Right.
Named after Angela because she liked it so much. But she had a roll and Sabasa created this also. That she wanted riceless. So that's how this came across, Happy Wife, Happy Life. And it's got your tuna on the inside. It's wrapped in soy paper, and it's got crab on the outside, a little spicy mayo, little eel sauce. One of my favorites, one of the big time, and this is one of the ones that we didn't change the name because it is universal. You can get it at a lot of places. It's called Butterfly Kisses.
Butterfly Kisses. Look at that dish.
And it is crab on the inside, wrapped with salmon, jalapeno on top. It's got a little spicy mayo. Just a very delicious dish.
And then what is this?
Yellowtail Heaven.
Yellowtail Heaven.
Yep.
That too looks fantastic.
Visit your favorite Crafted Bar Concepts dining experience with locations in the DFW Metroplex, Houston, Tyler, and even Clearwater, Florida. This season was truly special for Trey as he enjoyed a unique opportunity to visit with Dallas's own chef, Kent Rathbun. Chef Rathbun has cooked for Ross Perot, Queen Elizabeth, George Michael, Julia Childs, and Oprah, among other high-profile names. He was also one of the featured chefs for the Bush 2001 inaugural ball. And he competed on Food Network's hit series, Iron Chef America. Here's Trey and Chef Rathbun.
So we're here for our new season. We're kicking it off today with Chef Kent Rathbun from Dallas. Kent, thank you so much, buddy.
Pleasure, man.
I really appreciate it.
Good to be here.
Sorry for all the troubles.
No worries. As I was saying, man, I know where you're at. I feel you. I went to Bangkok 3 consecutive years, and cooked in this fantastic hotel and some of their other resorts around Thailand. I mean, it was
that is an experience in itself.
It was unbelievable.
And
seriously,
and you were getting paid to do this. So
getting paid to do it.
You did.
No, I loved it.
That's amazing.
Well, and I think that's the thing too. I tell people all the time, I've had such a blessed life. I mean, both my brother and I. Look, we have bad days like everyone else,
Sure.
but I'm going to tell you, I love what I do still today. I dig it.
I'm passionate about food and drink. I get up every morning and say, man, what's the day going to bring? That's just the way I am.
Exactly.
And that's awesome. What was your favorite thing about Bangkok? Well, if you could take anything away from what was your favorite thing about it?
Street food.
Oh.
Absolutely
yeah.
street food. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. So we get there the first time and we get up, we flew in, we got there at like 4 a.m. and of course by we had an 8 o'clock meeting, so we only had like 3 hours to nap, but we were already, wired up and wide awake. So we met the GM, and he starts to explain to us. He says, now look, he said, the street food is extremely healthy. And, basically you shouldn't be afraid to eat on the street here. All the food is fantastic. But one of the greatest experiences I had was a place called the Seafood Market in Thailand. In Bangkok, okay? Imagine a Walmart with no shelving, only a sea of tables and chairs, okay, in the entire store.
Is that big?
And that big. And then on the sides, both sides and the back are like grocery shelves, right? So one side is breads and booze.
Right.
The back is a seafood counter like you've never seen in your life. And the left-hand side of the store is produce. So you grab your basket, just like you're in a grocery store, and you go shopping. And, you buy shrimp that are swimming. You buy fish that are breathing. You buy fantastic produce. You buy wine. You buy beer. You buy some bread.
And everything is farm fresh.
Everything is fantastic. And, when I say breathing, I'm talking laying on the ice, still moving.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. All right. We're almost done. Chef, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
That's fast.
Remember, chefkentrathbun.com.
Yes.
Spell your last name for everybody.
Rathbun.
That's right. chefkentrathbun.com. It's got to be that for the barbecue.
With restaurants like Abacus, Emoto, and other well-known names in his portfolio, Chef Rathbun and his wife Tracy currently co-own local Dallas favorites Shinsei, Lover's Seafood and Market, and Rathbun's Curbside Barbecue. Learn more about Chef Rathbun on his website at chefkentrathbun.com. Next up, originally started in 1978 as Roy's Smokehouse in Princeton, Texas, it had become such a local favorite that Roy had to move to a bigger location. He called the new location Hutchins Barbecue, and Trey talked with Pitmasters Tracy and Wes Hutchins.
When did y'all start?
1978.
1978 in McKinney.
In McKinney.
Not in that location.
Not in that location, correct. Dad started actually about 5 miles outside of that location in a little town called Princeton, Texas.
Which was all farmland at that time.
Right, exactly. And then when I come of age at 18, 19, me and Trey got in business with Dad, and then that's when we moved to McKinney.
Okay, so your dad did actually start it.
Roy Smokehouse. It was Roy Smokehouse, yes, sir.
Oh, yep. Roy Smokehouse.
That's where I was 7 years old. You see the established 78?
Okay.
Yes. So I was 7 years old, when it come to be. So,
okay, so see, I did not know the back history. That's
yes,
because anything you read about Hutchins, they don't have the back history.
Right, yeah. So we have a little story, but you got to look for it.
Yeah, we go online. It's got the full story. You just got to click on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got to click.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff to click on now online.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was Roy Smokehouse and Princeton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it was 1978. Mm-hmm. And was it actual just?
It was a little portable building. Really cool. I kind of getting into depth, but it was a little. Dad built a room on the end of it, and so we lived in a room for 5 years, literally a room. And but that's all Dad wanted to do is cook barbecue. His passions was that, and him and Mom have always been music leaders in church. So I don't know how many nights it was going to revival. We closed down. If church something wasn't going on at church, we were open. But if something was going on at church, we were closed. But Dad really quick knew that he could do have a good business there. So
that is a fantastic story.
Me and Wes was raised up in it, so it was kind of funny. We were getting out of high school, and I guess Wes had just graduated, and he said, "You guys are going to come to work for me." And we're like, we're all, I'd say most of us are alpha males.
Yeah,
we're real bullheaded. We're like, "No, Dad, we're going to work with you. We're going to be partners." And so Mom, obviously having the two boys, and our younger brother Tim was a little younger, obviously at that time.
Have I met Tim?
You've met Tim
on TV,
yes,
on ABC.
He did the TV thing with you. So So anyway, Mom, me and Wes, of course, her boys are her husband. She sided with us, and we said we're going to call it Hutchins Barbecue.
That's how it started.
Dad didn't like it. He thought the customers were going to turn on him, because he had so much, so much traffic coming from McKinney. A lot of our business did come from McKinney.
You know what? That happens a lot of times. People buy a place where they change the name.
There's no doubt.
Yeah, so that's why he felt like that.
No, and he was in the right for doing it, but we hung in there, and obviously we're Hutchins today.
After a devastating fire in 2012, Hutchins Barbecue rose from the ashes and smoked its way into Texas Monthly's top 50 barbecue joints in the world. Check out their story at hutchinsbbq.com. As a seasoned culinary inventor, she is executive chef at Jose Restaurant. Chef A.Q. Pittman is a first-generation Mexican-American and native Texan. She sits down with Trey to talk about restaurant operations.
It's what you said that because there's a difference between a chef and a cook. A chef wants to do everything and be an owner and run everything, and a cook wants to do it for a paycheck.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, it depends on like what you run into. It's there's a big difference, and I think that line is getting a little blurred now because you get a lot of thanks to like Food Network and blogs and Instagram and people seeing pretty pictures and they think that's what a chef is. And on the way down here, I was talking to one of my cooks about labor and percentages, and I was like, this is what we do. This is why I sit in front of my computer sometimes and trying to fix the numbers and figure out what we need to do to make things work. It's not just a fun special on the weekends anymore.
No.
I wish sometimes I wish I could just work the line and put my head down.
And everybody thinks it's fun to own a restaurant. It's not. So you said something. You hit on something. You said labor, and so I never a chef. I did everything operation. I built stores. I tore them down and remodeled them. Operational wise, as far as food, food costs, labor costs, training managers, all that kind of stuff. I did that. But I never was a chef, so I started at a very young age on the financial background side of restaurants, and so everything was always about numbers.
Absolutely.
So you hit on a good thing there because you said about numbers, and if you're going to be a chef and own a restaurant, that's super important.
You have to know how to cost your foods. You have to know how to manage labor. It's like I said, it's not just putting up a pretty special and posting it and getting likes. It's knowing how much that product costs you before you even put it on the plate. How much are we going to get in return when we put a number on the menu? It's all about numbers as well. It's not just kind of putting your head down and making pretty food anymore.
And what's funny too is that it used to be you didn't have to worry about social media. There was no such thing as social media. So what happened is you added a whole different dimension to owning a restaurant. A whole different dimension. So you have business side, you've got the cooking side, you have the chef creative side, you have the restaurant operation side, front and back, and now you've got this whole dimension. Which each one of these is a little chunk, but social media is a huge chunk because you have to do all the social media correct, or you won't drive traffic.
Yeah, I think it's just changed the way that chefs plan, I think, on a weekly basis. For me, it's changed because whereas I would print out a menu and do specials Thursday through Friday or Saturday, someone would have to come in, see that menu on the table, and then tell somebody else. Now I post a picture and 1,000 people can see it. And, I'll get a message that the next day saying, do you still have this? Do we still have this coconut ceviche that you posted yesterday? I was like, well, I was just playing with that. I don't have it yet. I'll get there next week. But so it's interesting to see how much, the industry has changed when it comes to adding social media. It's a whole other audience out there that you don't get to reach by walking into the restaurant.
Nope. And what's funny is that I don't think you can grow your business anymore because a lot of people depend on social media, especially the younger generation.
Yeah.
And what's funny is that when someone tells me, social media doesn't work, I'm going to say, well, if it doesn't work, you're not doing it right, because it does work. It drives the hell out of your business.
It absolutely works.
I watch all that, like the pop-ups that travel around the country. There's some people that have pop-ups that we do in San Francisco and LA and New York. And it's neat because they drive everything from social media, either Instagram, Twitter, that's it.
Yeah,
so
we just brought a guest chef. So we do a guest chef series every month where we bring chefs from different parts of the country and parts of Mexico. And the last chefs that we just brought on were from LA, and I followed them 2 years ago on social media.
Yeah.
And that's how we met. And we would kind of trade tips back and forth, but we never officially met. I didn't know their last name. I didn't even know where they lived in Los Angeles. I just knew that I really respected what they were trying to do. Sure. They don't have a brick and mortar, and they don't really want one right now because what they're doing is very fruitful for their life. Sure. And so I thought, let's bring them out. I want to learn something from them. Hopefully they can learn from me. And I'm not just going to copy their stuff off Instagram. I want them to come and teach me.
Sure.
So we brought them out, and they did an amazing job. And
that is so neat.
Yeah.
See that, but sometimes too, if you do that, that's what I do. I follow chefs, and that's what I did for you. I was looking at your food stuff, and I really love some. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But first of all, we haven't talked about it yet. I normally do it chronological, but since we got into everything on your restaurant's Jose.
Mm-hmm.
And tell everybody about it real quick.
So Jose is named after a fairly famous ceramic artist in Guadalajara. I say fairly just because he's super humble.
Wait, say that word. Say the city again.
Guadalajara.
Yeah, I can't say it like that.
And the owners, Brady and Hannah and their family, would travel to Guadalajara and just have a really good time and eat at all these, really well-known restaurants and some hole in the walls as well. And they just fell in love with the food and the environment. They met Jose Noe Suro, who is a ceramic artist, and just fell in love with him and his family. And he really is a truly remarkable person, humble and just very sweet. But he's also super talented and very famous when it comes to his pieces, which he does plateware and whatnot. And they said, you know what, there's nothing like this in Dallas. How do we bring this to Dallas? And they kind of collaborated and decided to open Jose. They reached out to me initially, and at that point I was working on another project, and I said, no, thank you, but no, thank you. I'm doing something else.
Starting a brick and mortar is a big responsibility.
It is, it wasn't just that. I didn't know enough about the concept. I didn't care to really know much about it at the time because I was so kind of busy with the other projects. So later they reached out to me after I left the Cedar Social, and I said, you know what, let's sit down and talk. And we sat for 4 hours, and I said, the first thing I want to do is come and eat at the restaurant and see, because I'd never even driven past it. I didn't know anything about it. And I went and I looked around, and I remember pulling the manager aside and I said, you guys are really busy. This is crazy. And he looked around, he kind of, was like, nah, this isn't very busy. So we went back and talked, and I was like, you guys are doing great. Your numbers are great. Everything. What are you doing if it's not broke? He said, we're not what we wanted to be originally. What we wanted to be was, just kind of elevate Mexican food a little bit more. We know that that's what you do. I said, well, you're probably going to, make some people angry because your food's really good.
That's what happens.
And he said, you know what? It's not what we originally set out to do. It's not our ethos. It's not what we wanted. It's fine. Just do what you do and don't upset anybody.
Well, you can't do that because people hate change.
Yes.
I don't care who they are. If they've been coming to eat for 6 months, they hate change.
Yep.
But you had the foresight to do that, which was neat.
Well,
Chef AQ, as she is known to her friends and patrons, was named Best Chef of the Year 2018 by Eater Dallas. It also took top title at Dallas Observer Iron Fork 2018. She brings over 15 years of acclaimed culinary experience to Jose. Next up, Chef Melvin Roberson says the idea of Doughboy Donuts came after 15 years of restaurant experience and a desire to build a company of his own. Doughboy Donuts took Dallas-Fort Worth area by storm and was embraced with open arms throughout North Texas. Trey sits down with the Donut King himself.
How did you cook your first donut? Tell me what you told me. Did you go to Bed Bath & Beyond and buy the fryers?
I did. I went to
so let's
Bed
go through that process. It's interesting. It's a cool story.
Yeah. So I went to my parents and I told them this idea, and they were just like, "No, no, this is crazy. You're insane." I'm like, "No, but you have to believe me." And I think my mom was more so on board than my dad because my dad was sitting in the recliner and he was like, "Nah, I'm not even getting up. I don't care." And
they thought you were just kidding.
They thought I was messing around, but they soon figured out I was not. But so I went back and forth with a lot of different things as far as flavors and profiles.
I want to take you back 1 second to your dad sitting in that recliner, and he said, "Oh no. What happened from there? What was the process from there?"
This is a combination of 3 or 4 different recipes. I picked from here, I pulled from there, I threw this out, added that, whatever. My uncle is in culinary, my aunt is in culinary. They both teach at Ben Barber Technical High School in Mansfield, and they're chefs there, the chef teachers. So I got some input from them, input from my parents. Long story short.
So self-taught.
Who?
You are self-taught.
I'm self-taught.
Yeah.
I'm self-taught, yes.
Yeah. In your kitchen.
In the kitchen, yeah.
By you and mama.
Me and mom, yeah. I'm an only child, and I didn't get this big by accident. So I used to stay home a lot too. Actually, summers I like to stay home. I'm a bit of an introvert, so home alone, that's my thing. So, and I had to eat, so I just started making stuff up, or she would leave something, or I'd make something, and And it got to the point they were like, okay, you're going to cook once a week, for the house. So that's kind of
really
how
cool,
I got
though.
that. So, yeah.
I think more families should do that nowadays. I truthfully think that we could get back to being a more family units.
For sure.
If the kids had to cook and clean one day a week, each child, if there's 2 or maybe 2 days a week, I think it makes them have a lot of more respect and understanding of what it takes to run a house and all that stuff. Yeah,
absolutely, definitely agree. But
but I'm trying to get to
with my dad. Yeah. So we finally, when we got this recipe down, he's in the recliner, he's watching TV, he's not interested in anything we're doing, and that first bite, he was hooked. First bite, he was just like, he looked at us and we're like, yeah, we told you, like. Come on, man! Like it works, right? You like it, right? He loved it. So yeah,
did he finish it?
Oh yeah, of course. yeah.
Do you remember what donut that was?
It might have been the last call, if I remember correctly. So
the last call, what was it?
The last call is a maple syrup, Nutella, peanut butter glaze, topped with coconuts, chocolate chips, pecans, and Oreos.
Stop.
So a little bit of everything.
That sounds like a state fair donut.
Yeah, that's kind of
that's
kind of the basis on it.
So you did that one. So you obviously got your dough correct. You're from scratch dough. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about trying to figure this out at home, that is seriously made from scratch.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get any more made from scratch than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So was it like when you got it done? Were you happy?
It was, and because I had worked with some of the dough that I had done in the very early stages, and if you've had a donut from me in the very early stages, I'm sorry, they probably weren't good, but I appreciate you still supporting. But heavy, overproofed, super dense. But this right here has got the good balance of having that density and having that softness. The light, fluffy, melt in your mouth generally is not a scratch-made product. So this has got some body to it. It's got some bite. It's gonna work in your jaw. So that's kind of the point I wanted. I want it to be different enough that it didn't scare away the people who are used to that mom and pop thing, but something that like it's different, and it is, and it's not for everybody. And that was a hard pill to swallow, that everyone was not going to like these. Yeah, and it is what it is.
What you're saying is if you want to do it for the mass, you could do something like Krispy Kreme or something like that, where you mass produce everything every morning, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And
no, I call you a craft donut. That's what I call you.
Yeah.
Because you're a handmade product. Mm-hmm. Everyone's made to order.
Right.
No matter how big the order is, and we're going to get into that in a few minutes because some of your stories are funny. But everything that you did brought you to where you are today.
For sure.
And you're very successful. So you did that, and then you went and you started making donuts out of your house. Now I love this story. You started making donuts out of your house, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about how that started, and you got your mom, dad, everybody involved.
Yeah, I started an Instagram page.
Good old Instagram.
Good old IG. Mom was like, "Don't put anything up," and I'm like, "Nah, I'm going to post it." And people started, get a few likes here, get a few likes there, and every picture I took was in my kitchen on one of my plates or on one of my parents' plates.
Right.
Did that. I just lost my train of thought. Yeah, making it from home. Right. Yeah, put on Instagram. Then I started getting orders from people that were following me. Hey, can I get half a dozen? Can I get a dozen? At the time, I'm like, yeah, sure. So between working and the family life, I was like, yeah, I'll make donuts before work and I'll drop them off to you in Walmart or at the mall parking lot.
And how much were you charging at that time?
I can't remember.
I'm sure you weren't charging for delivery. You were just doing it and dropping it off.
I was just doing it and dropping it off.
Whatever. Slinging donuts, boy.
Just slinging the dough, man. It wasn't anything. There was very little thought put into it. So I was like, hey, what do you want? You want one of this, one of that? So if they wanted a Sriracha maple bacon, I would make one piece.
Just make one?
Yeah. And
what the?
Yeah, I just wanted to get it out there. And I had no idea. In my head, I thought it could get to something like this, but I had no idea. So.
Yeah, it's a dream.
Exactly.
But you have to chase your dreams, and you chase that dream.
Yeah.
And that's what's important. Anyway,
Absolutely.
So go ahead. You did it. You did making donuts.
Making the donuts, meeting people in random places late at night or early in the morning. And then it got to the point to where I couldn't necessarily leave my job. I had a good job. I didn't want to leave.
But you couldn't make any more donuts.
But the balance was just too hard to keep up. So that's when I got the food truck. So I said, hey, I'll do my food truck from on my off days or on other days, because we have donuts laid out all over the place in people's kitchens and my kitchen and my parents' kitchen.
Yeah. So before we talk about the truck, I want you to tell about the big order we had, everything laid out there.
Yeah.
Tell us about.
We had this large order. Actually, this happened to me twice. I was doing an order for someone in downtown Fort Worth, and I lost that account on this time because I couldn't keep up. It might have been 250 donuts, and I was frying them 2 at a time, just because. It's just what I had done, and I wasn't smart enough to like, hey, go get multiple fryers.
Bigger. At that point, you weren't thinking bigger, right?
Exactly. I wasn't thinking big. So I'm like, this is what I'm doing, and it works. So I'm gonna make it happen. So my mom gave me these wooden spoons, and I was using the handles of those to turn my donuts.
Okay. Yeah. I see people turn them with chopsticks or something.
Yeah, that's what we have now. It's a donut turning stick.
Okay.
It's like a thick chopstick.
Okay.
But I was using the back of those spoons because I didn't have anything else, and anything else would melt that I had in the house. So, donuts laid all over the counter, the kitchen table, the bar area, covered in terry cloth, trying to fry them. So and picking them back up by hand. So that's one thing we don't do in the shop is once they're on this frying screen, they don't come off that screen until after they're fried, because you touch them, they get ugly. Your fingers, the weight of your fingers presses down into them and things like that. So it was a mess. It was a huge mess. Overproof donuts. I would burn donuts because I was too busy dropping them and then running over here to grab more to do this.
Trying to make a circle, right?
Trying to make a circle, yeah, and it was way too much.
But
so
you know what? You didn't quit.
I didn't.
You didn't quit, brother. That's why you're here now.
Man, it was tough, but yeah, I didn't quit for sure.
So you did that, and was there ever a point where you had cake and flour and everything all over the house, or was it just?
My wife hated it. She hated it. I had bags of flour here and toppings here and stuff laid out, and I got 3 kids, so they were all over the place, and I'm like, hey, this is my area. Don't touch my area, and. Yeah, it was.
Dude, I have OCD.
Yeah.
I would have a freaking heart attack. I'd probably have to leave.
Yeah, it's best, especially before work. If I'm running late or something's happening, and I'm like, sorry, I got to leave this here. It's covered in flour, and there's stuff all over the place, and I'm sorry. Just put it in the sink. I'll wash it when I get home.
Doughboy Donuts opened its doors to the public in late 2018. Since then, the shop has been recognized as a local destination for great donuts and was awarded Best Donut Kolache by Fort Worth Magazine. Visit Doughboy Donuts and Chef Roberson at doughboydonuts.net. We hope you enjoyed Season 3 and 4 of Trey's Chowdown and are looking forward to a positive and delicious Season 5. For Trey Chapman and Trey's Chowdown Live, I'm producer Ron. Take care.
Hi, I'm Trey Chapman, publisher of TreysChowdown.com. I'm passionate about finding the best food, drinks, and chefs, and sharing it all with you. I should know I have over 5 decades of food experience. Find me on any podcast platform, Facebook Live, or just Google me. Now you can watch and listen to all my great finds every week on my live TV and radio podcast at Treys Chowdown Live. I'm Trey Chapman, author and publisher of TreysChowdown.com. I have 5 decades of experience. Hi, I'm Trey Chapman, owner and... Do it again. I keep looking at that camera over there. Okay, more movement? Is all this is okay? Hi, I'm Trey Chapman, author and publisher of TreysChowdown.com. I have 5 decades of food experience, and I love sharing them with you at my site, TreysChowdown.com.